Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce saying, Joyce, for the final time, even though Billy did not host this, it's a wonderful night for Oscar. Oscar. Another edition of Oscar's Playback, our last bonus one.
Our last one for, I guess, 2022.
Wow.
Who knows
Who knows what comes back? Maybe we'll come back in next year, but 2022, this is it. And we're doing the 2007 Oscars. The latest Oscars we've ever done. The year Departed won Best Picture.
And, I gotta say, I did not have as much fun rewatching the clips for this one. And I think it's because it's too recent.
I agree.
I just have a fresh memory of it. It was only 16 years ago. I remember everything. I've rewatched a bunch of these clips. It's not as fun as rewatching the 90s one when I was a child, and my memory is hazier even though I watched those ceremonies.
100%. I also think this is obviously because it is only like 16 years ago, the most modern. It felt like the most modern Oscars in that all the winners are pretty, even though Chris Connolly is on the ceremony being like, look at all these upsets. He's got like a freaking abacus, and they have like, that would be like, now it would be like one of the, like Scott or Clayton or Anne up on the Oscars, like with like going through their ballots.
I mean, that they like pulled in a lot of people like that, like from MTV, to do like all the side.
It just felt so modern and like, so all the winners were pretty expected, I thought. And then like the ceremony itself is, I don't know, it's just like
I remember this entire ceremony like crystal clear. So I was like, honestly, I was just like on my phone as the playlist was playing.
And the other thing is the movie this year is here was my hot take on this when I was going through the list of movies, and we'll talk about the movies first like we do, and then the Oscars. There are I would estimate 4 movies from this year that I would say are 4 of my literal favorite movies of all time that I've seen countless times. So many times. The one is The Departed, obviously. Seen that movie. I think I saw The Departed, Joyce, 4 times in the movie theater.
I saw it once in the theater, and I had to beg my friends to go see it with me.
Wow. So I'll tell you, before we go through the list, for my Departed stories, I never saw the original film.
Infernal
Affairs, right. Never saw that. Obviously knew about it, but just never saw it. So I went into the movie mostly cold, just based on the trailers, and I had no clue that they were going to literally murder Leo in the movie. I just did not expect that, and it was like one of the most shocking things. And the movie theater that I saw it in the first time, the reaction from the crowd was literal shock. It's one of the rare occasions. The only other time I've experienced something like that in a movie theater was at the very end of Uncut Gems when Adam Sandler dies. People were just not expecting it. I don't think they expected Leo to die and get shot in the face in that scene. So that was awesome.
Okay, sure. But also everyone dies, basically.
Everyone dies, but I didn't know that was going to happen coming in. I don't think a lot of people did either, honestly. I just don't. I think it's not like most of that film's audience.
I hadn't seen the original either, but that, I don't know. I feel like I'm just never really blown away by twists like that, or
right. I guess it just was a twist to me because he was so clearly the most famous person in the movie. And
wow, rude to Matt and Jack.
He is, though. It's Leo. Even though, in a funny bit, in the opening of the Oscars, they do those Errol Morris short films. This I remember vividly because they had like him like doing all the nominees, this ceremonies of celebration nominees, and Leo's question was basically like, how many times have you died in a movie? And he's like, murdered or natural causes, like 4 or 5, because he dies in Blood Diamond and Departed. Year.
So why are you so shocked that he dies when he dies?
Because those are 2 of the movies that came out that same year. So previously it was like, when did he die?
He died in Titanic.
That was really it, though, right? I guess he's saying like Gangs of New York, but I don't think he dies in Gangs of New York, at least not at the end.
But like, I don't know. I just like, I'm just not really shocked by.
I'm telling you, the crowd I saw in Clearview Cinemas on 23rd Street was pretty shocked.
Sure. I think that's true for, I think, a lot of general audiences anyway, because
sure.
Yeah.
So that was great. Then I saw it 3 more times, and I've seen the movie 100 times. The other 3 movies that I would say I've seen millions of times, including last night. One is Inside Man, just the best. Spike, unparalleled Sidney Lumet ripoff. Loved it so much. It's so entertaining. Saw it in the theater and then watched it a million times since on cable and DVD and everything else. Devil Wears Prada, wonderful theatrical experience. Remains very watchable. I watched it again earlier this year. Love it so much.
Devil Wears Prada is the greatest. I watch, so my three off repeated viewings of 2006 movies are The Departed, Devil Wears Prada, and The Holiday.
So The Holiday almost made the list. Seen that a bunch, including every holiday, Joyce. I love it so much. A great.
It's the greatest.
So
I love
good.
it.
The other one for me, and one I haven't seen in a while, and you'll like roll your eyes, I'm sure, is Children of Men, which I saw 100 times when it came out.
Why would I roll my eyes? I love
because it's like so.
I don't rewatch it a lot, but I love
it's so typical that I would love it. It's so good. I just absolutely loved it so much. I remember seeing that in the theater, like by myself, because I had no one to go with. And I just was like, holy shit, this is amazing. I was blown away by that movie.
It's a great film. It should have been nominated.
So many nominations. Yeah. And this
it's
is
just
great...
it's I wouldn't say it's not a rewatchable movie. That's the thing. And we're talking about what we watch all the time.
Right. I rewatch Children all the time, but not for like probably 15 years. That's it. The rest of these movies this year are not what you want, I would say. I just found this to be a very soft year. And I think that's indicative of the list of nominees that we ended up with and just the way it's remembered. And then I also think it hurts because, like we did a lot of the 90s years and there was a lot of all-time great movie years. The year after this, I would say, is like an all-time great movie year, 2007, because you have No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood and,
yeah. And then that's when like all the jokes were about like, oh, everything is about like murder.
But that is a great year for movies. Like I think in the pantheon of all-time years, 2006 is just like, holy cow. Here are the list of top grossing movies, Joyce. Tell me, let's see how much affinity we have for these. Number one at the box office with $1 billion worldwide, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, the second installment, the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise.
You mean Caribbean?
Terrible.
I could not see that in the theater because I had my wisdom teeth removed. I had 2 sessions and this is my second one.
Just like I want to say, as a fan of the original Pirates movie, which
the first one is amazing. It's so great.
I'm not sure you missed out. I think the wisdom teeth might have been a better bang for your buck than the second Pirates movie.
It was yeah. So like my friend, like she invited me to go because she's like, oh, we're seeing it like on Friday. I'm like, I can't because I have getting my wisdom teeth pulled. And then she's like, oh, but you'll be fine. I'm like, no, like, trust me. Cause like I already did like the other side of my mouth the week before and it was bad. And then it was actually bad because this time they found like a cyst underneath my wisdom tooth.
Oh,
and then I know they had to like send it in and they're like, oh, it's benign or whatever. But if they were like digging into my gum, so they gave me even more anesthesia. Wow.
So again, more entertaining, I think, than Pirates 2.
I was just I like on July 7th, I was just in bed.
So, not a great movie. That was a number of movies.
I just remember because like my appointment was in the city, so I was just on the subway going home, and I was bleeding through the gauze.
Oh God, that's awful. It's awesome. Imagine now seeing somebody bleeding through their gauze on the train, like in this COVID era. You just be like,
so that's
everything is wrong here.
So I eventually saw it. I don't know, probably when it like aired on TV or something. But.
I remember this is one where I was like disappointed because I thought the original was so great.
It's so I have never seen any Pirates after this one, so I've only seen the first 2.
I gotta tell you, Joyce, they only get worse. The third one gave me a migraine.
You know me, like I'm not interested in continuing. You are a completist and you go down with the ships.
I will.
I am happy to quit things.
Yeah. Number 2 is Da Vinci Code, another bad movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed the book, which I read way before that.
Book was really fun,
yeah.
And the movie was not very fun, I didn't think. Yeah. But what are you gonna do? Number 3 was Ice Age: The Meltdown, which is the sequel to Ice Age. Can't say I saw this as a grown man.
I definitely did not see this. So
number 4 at the box office, Casino Royale.
I have not seen that.
You have not seen any of the Daniel Craig Bond movies. I have to say this was a good one. This was co-written also by Paul Haggis. Now fraud, obviously, for many reasons, but this was a great time to be Paul Haggis. Crash won an Oscar. He wrote Casino Royale. He wrote Letters from Iwo Jima.
Also $1 Million Baby.
And $1 Million Baby, which comes out, which was the year before this, right? So
it was 2 years.
2 years before, right? Yeah. Okay. Wow. Night at the Museum, another movie. Can't say I've seen. These are the top movies of the box office. It's a lot different.
It's a very successful franchise.
Sure. Cars. Wow.
Cars got a lot of play this summer. because a lot of the headlines and tweets about it were in relation to Lightyear's box office.
Correct.
Yeah.
X-Men: The Last Stand.
We discussed this last week
We did.
when we were talking about the year 2000 movies, because the OG X-Men is one of my faves, and X2 is an amazing sequel from 2003.
And what
This
about
is
X3?
not it.
No, not it is what it is. Brett Ratner returned to direct. We went from Bryan Singer to Brett Ratner. Nothing wrong with any of these people anymore, right?
Because Brian ditched this to do Superman Returns and took
Right.
James Marsden with him, and that's why they killed off Cyclops.
It's such a bad movie. I remember seeing this in the theater and just being like, holy cow, this is so bad.
Yeah, and they just
Do
completely
Dark Phoenix, right?
Yeah, the Dark Phoenix storyline, that was so bad. She deserved so much better.
Number 8 at the box office is a movie I actually love. It's the only one of these top grossing movies outside of Casino Royale that I think is good. Mission Impossible 3, which has a iconic Philip Seymour Hoffman villain performance off Capote Oscar win.
Amazing. Great turn. Yeah, I
Love
did
it.
like this. I haven't seen this since it came out, probably.
I watched it. I watched it, I think, last summer. It's so much fun. It's actually really good. And this was like a weird one at the time because I think this was right around Tom Cruise couch jumping, right? Wasn't this the Oprah stuff with Katie Holmes? I think. And it was like fraught
yeah.
that people were not going to want to see him in this.
And he's also at the ceremony, so
right. He gives a great
this came out a couple weeks after Siri was born. So
yes.
Siri is 16 years old now. So
and this is J.J. Abrams' first big like blockbuster movie. Superman Returns, movie you mentioned, not a great movie, I would say, not very well remembered. But Bryan Singer and Kevin Spacey, again, nothing wrong with these guys. And Brandon Routh is Superman, sure. We're 16 years later, and Warner Brothers is still trying to figure out how to make a Superman movie that people want to see. Only the most iconic superhero character in the history of superheroes.
They're trying to figure out what kind of DC movie.
Sure, they still haven't gotten there. And
They're
number
looking
10
for their Kevin Feige.
Number 10, Happy Feet. Got George Miller an Oscar. Can't say I've ever seen this one either.
I have not seen this one, but very happy for George Miller.
So that's the top grossing movies. And then I wrote down some other ones, Joyce. Like I said, not a great year for movies. Inside Man, I mentioned. A movie that I think had a lot of hype that I've rewatched recently that just doesn't work is The Breakup. Do you remember this one with Jennifer Aniston? And
that was like
the
press around that was bigger because of them dating and stuff, and obviously that was right after she and Brad split.
Right.
But the movie is way too long, but I like it because like they do break up. Like I remember a lot of people being disappointed that they don't get back together, and I like bittersweet endings, and this is truthful. Like people break up and they don't get back together. It's
actually not, it's funny. It's like I rewatched it recently, maybe like last year. Peyton Reed directed it actually from of Bring It On fame. And it's totally fine. It's not good, but it's like bad in a way that's interesting at least. And I feel like nowadays movies aren't even interestingly bad. They're just bad. It's
totally fine. And I don't know if it's like super watchable, but I don't think you're ever like, I need to turn this off.
Right.
Like you'll see it through. And yeah, they could have shaved off a couple minutes there. So
other ones I wrote down: Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of this, but there has been obviously like a renewed this movie is good vibe in the last like 5-10 years.
I think I've seen like 4 Fast and Furious films.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Fast and Furious person, honestly, but they're fine. Sure. Devil Wears Prada, like you mentioned, I saw that one in the theater. Great movie.
It's just it's so good, and so many amazing lines. Deserved so many more nominations.
Mentioned many times as I go dark here with my light. I don't know what happened there. I will mention it many times, Joyce. I love this movie. It is so watchable. It's just so good.
I just also back then, or maybe they still do it now. I don't know, but like the network would play this all the time. They would play this and Knocked Up all the time.
Yes.
So I would just watch it.
Right. What else did I write down here? Clerks 2. Big Clerks 2 fan, Joyce?
No.
Not great. Clerks 3 though, coming out in a week or so. I will say I've seen it, and that's all I'll say. The Lady in the Water. This is M. Night Shyamalan movie. I remember seeing this in the theater and not liking it.
I did not see that.
there's a critic character that gets brutally murdered, if I remember correctly. Bob Balaban plays the critic who dies. Love a movie director taking out their yayas on critics. Here's one that another has had definitely a cult following. Miami Vice, Joyce. You a big Miami Vice guy?
No,
girl?
I also did not see this one. Did not.
You never saw Miami Vice at all?
The show I've seen like
Yeah,
episodes of. This movie, no.
Good movie. I never was as obsessed with it as a lot of man heads are. But, you know, Colin Farrell in this choice is a fiend for mojitos.
I like Colin Farrell. He's made some interesting choices.
What about mojitos? Are you a fan of those?
I love mojitos too. Yeah,
they're good. Talladega Nights.
I have not seen that in a really long time.
Same.
But to me, it felt like this was the time when they were just trying to do more like Anchorman type of stuff. And I thought this was like kind of mid, but
this was a good year for Sacha Baron Cohen because he has Talladega Nights and Borat was obviously the big comedy.
I'm also not a big Borat person. Like I also didn't really like sure. Like
this is like none of these movies are any that good. I mean,
no, and the thing is like the ones that I actually do like besides The Departed, Devil Wears Prada, and The Holiday that I watch all the time, like it's like guilty pleasure type of stuff. Then everyone, if I say it and like snobs and like film Turo just like stuff their nose at me, like I like Just My Luck, Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah,
time.
Sure.
Like it's a terrible movie.
Yeah,
but I like it. The Covenant, starring multiple Gossip Girl stars, including Sebastian Stan, who is always mortified if you ever bring it up to his face.
Wow, I've never even seen The Covenant.
Wow, rude.
I'm gonna Google it right now.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, Chase Crawford's in it.
Oh yeah,
Taylor Kitsch is in it.
Taylor Kitsch, yeah.
Yeah, like these are terrible movies. And what else is there that I wrote down? Snakes on a Plane, which that was like a huge thing. John Tucker Must Die.
That's a good one. Snakes on a Plane was a huge thing. This is the first meme movie, I would think. Like it was like a movie that was like a meme.
Yeah.
That no one thought was going to be any good, and people like on the internet latched onto the idea that Samuel Jackson's in a movie with snakes on a plane. So much so that they like had to recut it to make it R, and also have him say, "Get these motherfucking snakes off my motherfucking plane."
And
that was also not in the original. I don't think
it's also just like a good title.
Great title. Yeah. The movie is not good. It's like a total B movie. Like not even. It's a B movie that's like trying to do like a 90s action movie that actually isn't very good. And I remember seeing it in the theater on opening night, literally, and people were sitting in the aisles. That's how packed it was. And I don't think people were like, it was just like, oh, I guess we don't really like this movie. We memed it to death and we're excited about it. And now it's jokes on us.
You saw it out of FOMO. That's what I felt like people were doing.
Yeah.
Just to say like they saw snakes on a plane.
It ended up being like a manufactured bad movie, right? Where it's like, you can't manufacture like people like seeing something because it's bad. Like Cats. Cats is a bad movie that's so strange and awful that like it's like, holy cow, people really wanted to see this.
Starring in multiple Oscar nominees from this year.
Now, Snakes on a Plane was like not that good. What else did you get?
I got She's the Man with Amanda Bynes and Channing Tatum. I love that movie. But of course, no one would ever mention it as a great film.
No, but it's good. It's a watchable movie.
Yeah, it's a watchable film. And Amanda Bynes, like, obviously she's had some personal issues, but she is a great comedian.
Right.
So
I wrote down a couple others, 2 directors who kind of broke big and then come back. Marie Antoinette for Sofia Coppola. I like this movie. It just was not as good as like Lost in Translation for me. Yeah,
I'm not like it's, nowadays, like people like to relitigate it and be like, she got screwed over back then. Like people were too harsh on her, but I'm not in love with the movie either. Kiki, I like.
She's good.
I don't know if I would nominate her either.
No, I think I wrote her down as like an alternate if we needed to, but like not.
I am perfectly, not to like jump ahead, but I am perfectly fine with that Best Actress lineup.
Great This is a great Best Actress here. That was one of the things I wrote down too. Another one was The Fountain, Darren Aronofsky. Big swing, very sad. Saw it once in the theater. I remember it was fraught. It wasn't like Brad Pitt supposed to be involved in this and dropped out, and then Hugh Jackman ended up in it. I don't love it, but I know people are like obsessed with The Fountain. I feel like
there's a lot of Fountain heads.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah.
And then the last one I wrote down was The Prestige, which I
love The
enjoy.
Prestige.
Really good movie.
Yeah.
So that's like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of other movies written down.
I
This
mean,
is
like there are other movies I saw. Like I saw Invincible because so that came out at the end of August,
Yes.
and then I had just returned to college, so just got back there, and then my friend like immediately was like, we have to go see Invincible. Like she loves these like sports biopics type of stuff, and it's about Vince Papale, and the Eagles were a huge team. They were the home team basically, where I went to school. So, and I'm not a big Eagles fan, so it was rough for me. But I saw that it was when they won the Super Bowl, I just had to like walk away from the TV. So, but
one year I was like, let the Patriots win.
Yeah, and then I saw a similar film, We Are Marshall. With
Love
the same
We Are
friend.
Marshall. Never saw that in the theater, but
I saw it at the theater.
Really, it's a real rewatchable movie. Great Matthew Fox, like lost era Matthew Fox.
Yeah, and then I saw Rocky Balboa.
Saw Rocky Balboa too, and actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And then so here's one I had to review for my school paper because no one else wanted to do it. Running with Scissors.
Wow. That was, I remember that was going to be like a big deal.
Yeah, there was a lot of expectations about it, and it was not great. And I was trying to, like, I was like asking my friends, like, who wants to see this with me? I have to review this movie. You know, I could like expense the ticket and whatever. No one would come with me. I was like, fine, I'll see it by myself. And I was like falling asleep during the film.
Never even seen it. I remember it was like, that's a classic quote. This had Oscar buzz, not to talk about another podcast, but this is like, again, like 2007, if we were doing those movies, that's great. There's so many great movies this year. Not a lot of great movies, like you said.
Oh well, there's also V for Vendetta, which a lot of people love, but I'm also just kind of like meh on.
Yeah. So that's like the year in movies. Then we come into the Oscars. First of all, this may be the earliest one we've done. February 25th, 2007. Joyce.
Well, yeah, because they moved back to February in 2004.
Again, I have a lot of articles here about it's a time of great consternation among the Academy and ABC as viewership has sagged a little bit. The previous year's ceremony was watched by about 40 million people, which again now would be like, holy cow, 40 million people watch the Oscars. And back then it was, how do we get more people to watch the Oscars? And they ran their campaign was, Gil Cates, take a bath. You're out for now. Laura Ziskin's going to produce, Spider-Man producer, and Ellen DeGeneres will host for the first time. And the way we'll promote this show is by reminding people of great movie quotes. And so there's a Times article about their Oscar campaign, and it says the lead is, as another Oscar season gets underway, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences faces a conundrum. Is what we have here a failure to communicate, or is it the beginning of a beautiful friendship? Joyce, those are movie quotes.
I know. I distinctly remember the poster when they released it. It's just emblazoned with famous movie quotes. It's like the AFI 100 best quotes.
They did. Spike Lee did a commercial campaign where he had just regular New Yorkers like doing quotes. It's actually really funny. You could watch it. They uploaded it on the Oscars website a few years ago.
I remember all this. Again, This was not that long ago.
Not that long ago. So they are, I'll give you some quotes here in this article. How they're going to get more people to watch. Sid Ganis, who you might remember, loved Belfast. In the past, we were relying on the glory of the Oscars to get people to watch, he said. We've come to learn that nothing totally promotes itself. And then he added, yes, we are the Oscars. Yes, we are the Academy Awards. But we're in the marketplace and everyone around us promotes. And then Michael Benson, who is the Senior VP of Marketing at ABC, said, we still have event television on the air, but it gets increasingly difficult to tell people what's on. We want to get to the audience excited for the show and the entertainment value Ellen will bring to the show. And to do that, I guess this is me editorializing, Joyce, we will just have old movie quotes. Sure.
You know, Gil Cates not here, but they still had a theme.
They had a theme, it was quotes.
Yeah.
And the other theme was nominees. They love nominees this year.
They did. It opens with a montage of the nominees just talking about their nominations.
So Errol Morris directed that, and it's like everyone from like Steven Spielberg. Is he in the montage though? I thought he was. Is he in that montage?
I don't know. Again, I wasn't really paying attention.
Whoever, it's like Ryan Gosling's in it, Mark Wahlberg, Leo's in it, and like then alongside like other nominees from like below the line disciplines, and nobody's given a chyron. There are no chyrons. You just are watching them talk about their nominations.
You're just supposed to know who they are. They're very, very famous people, household names. Yeah.
And they're big on like the idea that it is a incredibly diverse global show this year, because the nominees were Babel and like Dreamgirls and
Letters from Iwo Jima.
So there's like a big thing.
Also Pan's Labyrinth was a huge
yes
thing. I love Pan's Labyrinth.
So the show ended up running 3 hours and 51 minutes, 18 minutes longer than the previous year when Crash was the Best Picture winner.
I remember this being very long. So do you want to know the thing about the ceremony and why it's monumental in my life?
Yes.
This is the first ceremony that I worked.
Wow.
That I didn't just watch for fun because I like the Oscars. So I graduated college early. So my last semester was fall 2006.
Okay.
And my school also has winter commencement. So I already did the cap and gown thing in January. And then I was just freelancing at a bunch of places.
Okay.
So then I was at this now defunct site, and I asked the owner / editor, like, hey, can I cover like awards, like the Globes and the Oscars and stuff? So she was like, sure. So I did all that. I did like predictions, and I did like, recaps of the ceremonies and everything. So this, I was like, 4 hours. I had to wait for the fucking thing to end to write about The Departed winning Best Picture.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I did not work this one, but what was I doing at this time? I think I was freelancing, and I probably was working at like a radio station during this era.
Wow. You didn't do a hit on the Oscars?
No, I was like behind the scenes. I should have. I'm looking at this face for radio and voice for it, obviously, too. So yeah, a lot of long ceremony. Only 39.9 million people watched. So after all this, not great from a rating standpoint. The quotes, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn, did not get a lot of people to get hype for the ceremony. And it only gets worse from there because there was 31 million people who watched the following year. So not great, but again, way bigger than
it only gets worse from there because it gets like 10 million now. So
yes. So that's how many people watch. The nominees, Joyce, I think this is in that article. There are times they're like, all of a sudden they realize if the movies aren't really popular, people aren't going to watch. That was what they took away. And so this year's movie is not the most popular. And like we said, that top 10 at the box office is really rough from a quality standpoint, and just from an award standpoint. There's really not one movie there that would even be considered a Best Picture contender from that top 10. And so you're left with movies like The Departed, and Babel, Letters from Iwo Jima, Little Miss Sunshine, and The Queen. That was the Best Picture nominees. Dreamgirls led all the movies, though, with 8 nominations.
Yeah, it's the first time the nomination leader is snubbed for Best Picture.
Correct. Now, 3 of those were Best Song nominations. Is that
yeah,
right?
And so this is before they instituted the rule that a film can only submit max 2 song submissions now. So had that already been in place, it would have gotten 7 nominations and would have been tied with Babel as the nomination leader. So it wouldn't have this dubious honor.
Right. And I think people would have maybe had, though I think going into it, there was the expectation that it was going to be like the big movie.
So here's what I don't know if you recall this at all, but this is what I recall from the year before. So early 2006, before that year's Oscar ceremony, which was on March 5th because of the Olympics. Paramount was already mounting an Oscar campaign for Dreamgirls. They were I think they were still filming the movie, and it was just full court press, like releasing tidbits, inviting press to the set, showing them clips, and they had this whole showcase at Cannes too, and they brought out Beyonce and J Hud, obviously. So there was already this huge expectation that it was, I don't know if it was going to win, but it was definitely it's going to be a huge player, it's going to be nominated.
Yeah,
Right.
I remember not knowing. I like it was not a movie I had like not something not IP I was familiar with. Joyce Dreamgirls before the movie, and the hype machine was real, and I was like, this is gonna be like the Oscar movie. We're in the era when like Chicago and I mean like it was gonna be like that kind of thing, and not really a thing that happened at all. I don't know.
It's weird because I also remember towards the end of the year, end of 2006, when it was like gearing up to come out, there was still a lot of hype about it, and like it got pretty good reviews and everything. It didn't win any of the major critics prizes, which is also not surprising, but it won the Globe for musical or comedy, even though it's neither.
There's music in it.
There's music in it, but it's not a musical. It's not a musical like Chicago
Music
is.
makes the best medicine, Joyce, though.
Or is it laughter?
I don't know.
Yeah, so like it was just like expected that basically it was expected that Dreamgirls would be in there instead of Letters from Iwo Jima.
Yes.
So then and that was like a latecomer because it was the companion film to Flags of Our Fathers, also by Clint. And this is just from the opposite perspective, from the Japanese perspective.
And Flags of Our Fathers is a movie that didn't really work. I don't know.
And then Clint was like, can we just move this up and release it? And
it's
this is actually the better film. It's the better film.
It is. And he was right. Yeah.
And he got in. So this is an article after nominations. This was so nominations were on the 23rd of January, right? Yeah. So this article is dated. Oh God, I just closed it. Okay. January 29th, 2007. So this is the headline: Dreamgirls banked on Best Picture and lost.
Okay.
So this is basically about like how did it miss out on this nomination? And Bill Condon, the director, there's quotes from him in here. He said, quote, "I think Academy members just like the other movies better." So then this whole story is about Paramount's campaign, and like maybe is it too much, and like why did it stumble? And then this is a quote from Tom Pollock, a producer. "I don't see a reason to vote for or not to vote for a movie simply because it is a front runner." And then he says, "There are 6,000 people in the Academy and they all have different opinions. Now it's closer to like 10,000. And then this is a quote from the Paramount president for worldwide marketing, Rob Moore. "What is a quote best picture? The category is in quote most entertaining movie, although I would argue The Departed is the most entertaining movie."
Absolutely.
And it's also, I would like say, the best movie of these five, I think like The Queen and Letters from Iwo Jima are really good. So this is just like a recap of everything it did. A year before its debut in theaters, studio marketers had decided to sell the film with its bold musical numbers, a fictional treatment loosely based on the Rise of Supremes, blah, blah, blah. In 2005, Dreamgirls teaser trailers were attached to movies like The Producers. And last February, Paramount was already inviting reporters to a cocktail party at the Orpheum Theater in downtown Los Angeles, where scenes for the movie were shot. And then, so then like the Cannes stuff with Beyonce. So then another quote from Condon. "Later on, people accuse us of the big hype thing, but people would see it and love it. I know the perception was we were coming on like a Mack truck." And then, so they wouldn't discuss the marketing budget for it.
It's definitely high, I would say.
And then so that Paramount covered the usual basis in the awards campaign, for instance, by seeking to get as many guild members as it could to early screenings. The movie's celebrity-packed premieres in New York and Los Angeles were popular events. But things stretched toward the extraordinary when Miss Hudson embarked on a 10-city publicity tour with screenings for patrons who paid $25 to attend.
So the price of a regular movie ticket now.
Yeah. So then, the campaign left the impression that this was an early frontrunner, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. Okay. So another unforeseen hitch involved what some in Hollywood are calling the Clint plot twist. So this is about Letters from Iwo Jima, and how he asks for it to be moved up.
Right.
And then, so then this ends with a quote from Condon. "You are not entitled. It is a gift. that sense that you deserve it is wacky. We were never going to win, even if we were nominated. The money we would have spent on the campaign, the insane amount of money we saved. People spent like drunken sailors, you know. And that's it.
I mean, I think what he said is right. People just like the other movies more, but it
Yeah.
does show the dangers of being like an inorganic frontrunner.
Right. Yeah.
That's the problem.
And then the on the opposite end of the spectrum, you had The Departed, which had zero campaigning.
So
and
The
that was
Departed-
an organic hit
Right.
that people actually like. And yeah, sure, there was the Marty narrative, but this, I remember it came out October 6th.
Mhm.
And like there was like no, it didn't do any festivals or anything. It was
No.
it just seemed like it was a commercial play.
Yes.
And obviously it was a box office success. But then it didn't do anything. It didn't have this huge campaign that like Dreamgirls did. And then it just sort of became like, oh wow, like people realized this is a great movie. And obviously Marty hasn't won yet. And then he started winning like critics prizes, like even though the film wasn't winning Best Picture at like New York and LA, like he was winning, I think he won, let's see, so he won director at New York and NBR. And then Paul Greengrass won director at the other LA and National Society. And then Best Picture went to United 93 in New York, Letters from Iwo Jima at LA, Pan's Labyrinth at National Society, and Iwo Jima at NBR. So like pretty split. But I think again, it is like entertaining and is also a great film.
I think that's why, I mean, if I'm looking, we could talk about this as we get in like to the nomination stuff. I think it only had 5 nominations. It won 4.
Yeah.
And it lost Wahlberg. I would say it left like at least 3 or 4 nominations on the table that I would have had it in for.
Oh yeah,
that I think legitimately could have gotten, not just from an acting
the fewest
standpoint.
Nominations for Best Picture winner since Annie Hall, which also had 5.
And the fact of the matter is, like you said, it's so incredibly watchable, entertaining, and also great that it is so much better than these other movies. This is like a no-brainer that it would win to me.
Yeah, and then here's an article after the Oscars. Oh my God, is this the right one? I have so many tabs.
Too many tabs.
Okay,
I have one from the Times. Is that
okay? So this is from Reuters. The headline: "Departed Oscars cause Hollywood to ponder hype," because this is all about how it had no campaign. This is the lead. The success of Martin Scorsese's The Departed at the Oscars caused some Hollywood hand-wringing on Monday over whether months of costly Oscar campaigning truly pays off. Because the other thing you have to remember is he did the whole circuit twice very recently for Gangs of New York, which won nothing.
And
The Aviator, which seemed like that was finally his ticket. And again, the Clint plot twist at the end of $1 Million Baby. So yeah. So this is a backstage after he won. Marty said, I said on this one, let's just relax and make as good a film as we can. I was really trying to concentrate on the filmmaking. If this wasn't in the cards, it wasn't in the cards. So it's like he just kind of accepted it. And we've talked about this before in previous years, like Goodfellas and everything. Like, you know, like he doesn't make the type of movies that the general Academy like population or voters like gravitate towards, you know. And so it's like he's kind of like accepted that. And so
I think the other thing too,
let's just not do the whole thing this time and see what happens.
And you could tell, like, I mean, I love Martin Scorsese, obviously. He's like my favorite director. And like all those, I think Gangs of New York and Aviator are good movies. Like they're actually really good. But like there's something, The Departed is so clearly made by a guy who doesn't give a fuck. Cares so much, but also doesn't care. And it's just like, I'm going to make the best. I'm just going to have so much fun making this movie. Like that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like like Gangs of New York was a movie he wanted to make for decades and finally got the chance to do. And it felt like a kind of movie that someone has been thinking about for a very long time and is like, needs to like back off, right? Like sometimes you just need to like put the computer down and like stop. And Aviator definitely felt like, again, a movie that was like really good, but not one that he felt super passionate about. I think Michael Mann was going to make a Howard Hughes movie, and like it just was like another movie that he's making. Again, great stuff in The Aviator. It's like really well done. The filmmaking is awesome. Obviously, Thelma Schoonmaker won an Oscar for her editing. It's awesome. But Departed is definitely just like, I want to have fun. Let's make a great movie. And that's what it is. It's a great movie. So much fun.
And then like it's almost like when you don't want it, that makes people want to give it to you more.
Yes. And
it's
the
like
fact
they
is,
were not thirsty for it at all.
Like we talked about this previously in a few of these. I do think that it's I don't know what the narrative is, honestly, but I'm like, it's fine to me that he has an Oscar for The Departed. The Departed is one of his best movies. It's maybe not as good as
Yeah, like
Goodfellas.
it's a makeup Oscar in the sense that he had never won before this, but
Right.
I also think this is a worthy film for him to win for.
Yes. It's not like Scent of a Woman.
Yes.
And it's just a great movie. And I mean, it helps that none of these other movies are that great. And there's no one else who could really win.
Right.
Like, because Clint had just won. They're not going to go back to Clint. Inari 2 is going to win 2 after this. And
also, I'll
like,
be honest, I'm not a Babel person. So
I remember seeing Babel in the theater. I think I went to like Film Forum to see it. And I was not into it at all. And I've never seen it again. And I actually want to rewatch it.
So of the Best Picture nominees, I've only rewatched The Departed.
I rewatched Little Miss Sunshine actually recently, and it does hold up. It's very much of its time. It feels so much like a Bush era comedy. There's a lot of anxiety
into that. Like, I totally get why people found it charming and fell in love with it. And its greatest asset is the acting. The performances really carry the movie.
Yeah,
but there are a lot of issues with the film itself and the writing too.
It's just a little sitcom-y.
It just feels very, it's like set up ish. Like there's a lot of setups and like a lot of cliches, and then like a lot of the plot machinations. It just feels like, oh, we're doing this to like so you could have this like moment, and it doesn't really explain a lot of it. And
I mean,
it's one of those movies where like in the moment it's like entertaining, but if you think about it too much, it falls apart.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I rewatched it, I totally enjoyed it. It's actually really watchable, and like you said, the best part is the cast, and everyone's awesome in it. Actually, they're really fun. It's a great ensemble,
and it deserves that ensemble win.
It did. That SAG win was really good for it. So before we get into the rest of like redoing these categories, so this Ellen is the host. She comes out. They do the Errol Morris documentary. I think they said there was 177 nominees in the auditorium, a self-proclaimed record of nominees. Inari 2 in his little documentary is like checking off all his nominations, and it's like, LOL, I have like so many, I don't even know what to do. It's too many nominations, and it was because he didn't win any of these, right? So, but
now he has the most of the three amigos.
It's pretty funny, and he could win again this year, I guess, for Bardo. One of the things I noticed, here's what I wrote down. Ellen comes out and she's like, we're celebrating the nominees, and it's about a 5-minute monologue that is completely and totally pitched to the room. There's not a lot of jokes. It's all like talking to the nominees and the attendees.
But that's her thing.
And that's her thing. And I guess that's why she's so liked as a host. But I was like, as a viewer, I was just like, I'd rather have Billy up there cracking jokes about like, you know, who's running Paramount than Ellen being like, hey, we're all famous here. Haha.
I mean, that's like, she did the same thing when she did it again in 2014.
Yeah, she did.
Which I think like that was obviously her more successful stint.
Right.
And a lot of viral stint too.
Bits it's funny because a lot of the bits she does in this are like precursors to the
when she did the selfie in 2014, I was like, she had the actual digital camera in 2007 for Clint.
She did a digital camera with Clint and made Clint Eastwood Steven Spielberg take the picture. Then she gives
she was gonna post it on her MySpace.
She gives Martin Scorsese a script, and he has to take part of this bit. She vacuums the front row, which is pretty funny. Here was one joke that made me laugh because I was like, times have changed and yet they haven't. And obviously I'm not whatever, but this made me laugh. Jennifer Hudson was on American Idol. America didn't vote for her, and she's here with an Oscar nomination. And then Al Gore is here. America did vote for him, and everybody laughs because he won the popular vote but lost the election. And a lot of this ceremony ends up being like the runner of whether Al Gore is going to announce he's running for president in 2008.
Yeah, that was like the whole thing. Obviously, he was there for an Inconvenient Truth. They didn't actually win an Oscar because he
holds the Oscar and gives a speech. Though.
No, yeah, I distinctly remember this. And then he does a whole thing with Leo because they talk about how the ceremony is going green.
Yes.
And then a very extended bit with him amping up, preambling to announce something, and then the music cuts him off. But I would say that was probably like Ellen's biggest joke, the voting thing. And then it's also funny because she eventually became a judge on American Idol.
Yes. They also, again, this is like, I love when the Oscars are patting themselves on their back for no reason. Such diversity in the room. A year, there's been so many negative things said about people's race, religion, and sexual orientation, she says. I just don't look at this ceremony as incredibly diverse, I guess. I don't know.
Well, her joke was she named a bunch of people, and
Yes.
then it ended with Steve Carell.
Yes, that's true.
But there were multiple Black nominees in acting,
Right.
so that was the big headline.
Right. It's just the movies that are nominated are like, I mean, Babel is like an international feel. I guess that's also true. And Letters from Iwo
Jima. And the Queen is from England. It's
right.
It's
that's
white
diverse.
people.
Yeah, that's definitely diverse. Right.
It's from England.
Love the Queen. So that's the opening. I don't know. I thought like I said, I don't mind Ellen, and I thought her 2014 stint was really good. I think that's a good Oscars, and she's really funny. And this one I felt like is like a dry run of that, not as good. That was my takeaway.
It was, it's totally fine because she's not a Billy type of host, which is completely fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's her shtick. So
the other thing they did is I think they mentioned this in one of the articles I read, that Laura Ziskin wanted to spread out when they were giving the major awards. And so I think there was six awards, the opening like documentary thing that's 5 minutes, her monologue, and they do this extended song and dance thing with Will Ferrell, Jack Black, and John C. Reilly about comedy and how it's disrespected. Yeah. All of that before they give out the first acting award. It had to be an hour plus into the show before they're giving out Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, and now they typically open with one of the supporting categories.
And in the past, I feel like they did that too. This is just they wanted to try something different.
It's also interesting because usually when they want to spread out the major awards like that, they would present Best Actress, like one of the leading categories. Not towards the end, like more towards like maybe like 2/3 of the way through, which is what happens the following year. They give out Best Actress like in the middle. Forrest Whitaker just comes out, gives it to Marion Cotillard, and there's like an hour and a half left, So yeah, and yeah, like sometimes it's like maybe it's like 2 crafts categories before an acting award, but yeah, this one they waited a long time.
Not the most. I would say the pacing maybe could have used a little tweak. So let's do this. So Best Picture, like we said, those are the nominees. Departed, Babel, Letters from Iwo Jima, Little Miss Sunshine, The Queen. Departed obviously wins, no doubt, no complaints. I wrote down some.
So then the thing is, like I remember a lot of predictions back then, not being sure. Like everyone was sure that like Marty will finally win, but some people thought it could still be a split. But like as soon as like Dreamgirls, like I never thought Dreamgirls was winning, but like when it was snubbed from Best Picture, I was like, oh, Departed is definitely winning.
So Little Miss Sunshine won a Screen Actors Guild Award, so I think that had like a little enthusiasm, certainly like Coda style. But again, Departed is more entertaining than Little Miss. You know what I mean? Like I think in the world like Coda versus Power of the Dog, you could see a world why Coda gets the ball rolling and enthusiasm, but like Departed is like way more entertaining than Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah, and it's also like it just Little Miss Sunshine just felt like it was just too slight.
Yeah.
For it. And
what else would have won? I guess Letters from Iwo Jima maybe could have won.
That's what a lot of or like some predictions were like another Clint, upset just at the end.
Right.
But I think like, it's a great film. Like I think people thought that might appeal to like the snobby members.
Right.
Because it's more like highfalutin. Yeah, like I don't think The Queen was winning. Babel, like no.
No.
It won the Globe.
It won the Globe, and it won at Cannes Iñárritu won Best Director. But no. So I had a list of extra movies, and tell me, this was tough, honestly. So Pan's Labyrinth, I think, would have easily gotten in a 10. If it was a 10.
Okay, well, like Dreamgirls would obviously get in.
And Dreamgirls would obviously get in. So those are the two.
I have Dreamgirls, Pan's Labyrinth. I also did Children of Men because I just love that movie.
So I didn't do it because I don't think it would have gotten in. But I approve of that pick, but I did not have it in. The other ones I had were United 93.
Yeah.
And then Borat and Blood Diamond.
I wouldn't do Borat, but I would do Blood Diamond because that got 5.
So what would you put in instead? Children of Men?
I would do Notes on a Scandal.
Okay. I had that written down as my extra. I had Notes on a Scandal and Children of Men.
I love Notes on a Scandal.
And then I had Devil Wears Prada, and Last King of Scotland.
I don't think Last King of Scotland would have gotten it.
Well, I think it could have, because in a field of 10 with like an acting win, it could get in.
That was its only nomination.
But I think it should have gotten more. Honestly, it could have gotten more.
But like it didn't get more because they don't care about it. It was just like all about.
Right. I guess. I don't know. I think. Yeah, but I think in a field of 10, it could have gotten in. I didn't have it in, but I think it could have at least been mentioned. It
just never took off anywhere else except for him.
That is a weak field.
Yeah, like I would love, like I wrote down Devil Wears Prada too. I don't think it would actually get in, but it deserves to get in.
Yeah.
And I also think Little Children, which I love.
I put Little Children on my alternate list too. I don't think it would get in. Borat I put on there because it was a cultural phenomenon, and I think it could have gotten in. Blood Diamond would be one of the weakest Best Picture nominees in the history of movies.
It's just like, I do not care for that movie at
all. It's not even a bad movie. It's totally fine, but it's like, has an airplane movie ever gotten nominated for Best Picture? I guess so. I don't know. It just feels like very, very slight. And it didn't happen, obviously, but I think it would have, like you said, have 5 nominations. So I think it actually would have in a field of 10.
I mean, and then there's also, like the other films that got multiple nominations. Like it's like Apocalypto.
Apocalypto maybe would have gotten in. Mel Gibson, sure. I don't know though. What a rough list. So Departed, Best Picture. Congratulations. And Best Director, Joyce. Like we said, so it matched up almost. Scorsese, Inarritu, Clint for Iwo Jima, Stephen Frears, who is called Stephen Fears, I think, by George Lucas, reading off the nominations, or was it Francis Ford Coppola? I forget when they read it off the noms, but that made me laugh. Stephen Fears. And Paul Greengrass for United 93. Pretty solid list of filmmakers. Marty winning, obviously.
The snubbies were Valerie Faris and Jonathan Dayton.
So that would have been next. And then I said Alfonso Cuarón for Children of Men. I mean, that I
have Alfonso, and then I have Guillermo del Toro for Pan's Labyrinth.
So I think if I was doing this again, both Guillermo and Cuarón would get in, and Scorsese, that's 3, Inarritu, and probably Clint, I guess.
I mean, I would drop Inarritu because I'll take his buddies over him.
I mean, he's definitely the third of the 3 based on their movies.
Like that like his movie is just I get the more like serious one.
Yeah. I also would personally put Spike in for Inside Man. I think it's just an amazing movie. It's so good. It's very underrated. Spike directing. It's just so good.
It's also funny because even though people were expecting Dreamgirls to get the picture nomination, like no one was really talking about Bill Condon. He got in at a DGA, but it
never felt like he was a serious contender.
Yeah, like I felt like even if Dreamgirls got the Best Picture nomination, no one would have been like, oh my gosh, like Bill Condon was snubbed from director. Right.
I think if it was now, I definitely think that Cuarón and Guillermo del Toro would get nominated. Like if it was this Academy now and like the way those movies were received, I feel like they would have gotten in.
Yeah, I don't know about both of them, but I can see what I mean, like especially like Pan's Labyrinth. It's also crazy that Pan's Labyrinth didn't even win. Then known as a foreign language film. I
was hoping you could explain how that happened, because I was just shocked, even anew, when it doesn't win. Lives of Others wins.
Like just imagine being them. Like they think they have it in the bag.
Well, I mean, we've done a lot of these Oscars. We haven't ever seen anything like that in the ones we've done, where the movie
so Pan's Labyrinth has had 6 nominations.
6 nominations.
It wins 3.
Yes.
But not
that's not best internet or foreign language film at the time.
Yeah, and to be fair, The Lives of Others, great film from Jim. But yeah, everyone was like The Lives of Others, like they definitely did not think it's a Florian Uncle von Donnerschmach. He did Never Look Away recently.
Yes.
And also The Tourist. But he definitely was not thinking he was going to win. I think it was maybe people were thinking like, oh, it like Pan's Labyrinth is a lock.
It felt like maybe that.
And then I don't know. But then I was thinking like, that's the same thing with Parasite, but maybe it's just like they love Parasite more because, obviously it ended up winning Best Picture. And then like they were just going to vote for it there in like, you know, international film too, but yeah, it's like, yeah, it's wild.
Very strange. So that's best director. So best actor choice. Forrest Whitaker wins for The Last King of Scotland. The other nominees here are Leonardo DiCaprio for Blood Diamond, Ryan Gosling for Half Nelson. I love Half Nelson. I think this is a great movie.
Love Half Nelson. Yeah.
Really good. Peter O'Toole for the movie Venus. And Will Smith for The Pursuit of Happiness. Whatever happened to Will Smith, Joyce? You know?
I don't know, but you know, I saw The Pursuit of Happiness with my mom like opening weekend, and I was like the opening, like, because I just moved back home after my last semester of college, and then my mom was like, let's go see this movie. I was like, okay. Yeah, so that was Will Smith's second nomination.
So I have notes on this category. I think I would flip in a lot of different people. So I'll start here. Leo for The Departed. He was a supporting actor nominee, I think, at SAG. Is that right?
So obviously you can't be nominated at the Oscars twice in the same category as an actor.
Yes.
So he had two films. So the campaign for The Departed was that he would go supporting, since they could like fudge that argument that, you know, Matt Damon is the lead and he's supporting, like fraud him in there. So, and because he's clearly the lead in Blood Diamond. Yes. And then at SAG, you have to submit for your category and they have to vote like according to that. So they submitted him at SAG and supporting. So they voted for him in supporting. But as we know, at the Oscars, you don't have to follow any studio's campaign. You can vote for actors wherever you want.
Sure.
But it's still weird to me that they voted for him. I guess maybe he split his vote between lead and actor, or lead and supporting for The Departed. But I'm just like, The Departed is clearly the better performance than his performance in Blood Diamond. Mm-hmm. And you guys clearly love The Departed as well. The Departed should have gotten a lot more acting nominations, first of all. And I would say this is his best performance of his career.
Okay, so we can talk about this. I was thinking this, and I think I don't know if it's his best, because I would say, to me, I would rank Wolf of Wall Street, this, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like all in the same row.
He needs to do more comedy.
And I think Wolf of Wall Street is his best, but I think this maybe is better than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think this is he's just so good. And the line readings he has are...
He's so, yeah, I think he just does more with this character, even though his performances in the other two are more entertaining.
This is the other thing about him that I think is, and again, goes back to like, let's just have fun and F it. Like Leo, I love Leo as an actor. He's like definitely one of my favorites. But in those movies that we're talking about, like Aviator and Gangs of New York, are so calculated, and the performances feel almost stiff because he's like so obviously...
Yeah, I am not into him in Aviator.
And this, again, totally freed up, where he's just having a goddamn blast and like is so wired and is just like unhinged.
That's why he needs to do more comedy. Like, this is in the part, he's not inherently comedic.
No, but it's very funny.
Like, yeah, like it's very live wire.
Live wire. He's just great. So I would put Leo in, and I would put Matt in. I think Matt in Departed.
Matt also needs more acting nominations.
So Matt is Departed is one of the great villains, just such a sniveling weasel. I love him so much in it. It's just an amazing performance. I actually think this is his best performance. I think it's better than Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
So I'd have Leo and Matt for Departed. I'd have Gosling for Half Nelson. I think it's a great, incredible performance. And then I want to stick Clive Owen in for Children of Men. Because
I thought he was fine, but I would not nominate him.
And then Denzel for Inside Man. I would just move everybody out and just have all new nominees, basically.
So the only other name I put down was James McAvoy for The Last King of Scotland instead of Forrest Whitaker, because James McAvoy is the actual lead of this movie.
So I have him frauded in supporting, and I think he should have got nominated there. But
he got the BAFTA nomination supporting, and it's like completely ridiculous. So a couple months ago, during last Oscar season, I was talking about this with my friend, because we were talking about like how like Will was gonna win, and then he was asking when were his other nominations. I was like, his last one was Pursuit of Happiness, and he was like, who did he lose to? And I said, Forrest Whitaker. And he was like, for what? I said, The Last King of Scotland. And he was like, in lead actor? Like, he's supporting. And then he was like, wait, was James McAvoy nominated? I was like, no, he was not nominated anywhere. And he was like, but he's the lead. I was like, I know. And so I went to Screen Time Central, which is a Matthew Stewart's site. He times performances, as I'm sure most people know. So Forrest Whitaker in The Last King of Scotland. He is in the movie for 42 minutes and 34 seconds. That amounts to 34.63% of the film. James McAvoy is in the film for an hour and 26 minutes and 6 seconds.
Amazing.
That amounts to 70.05% of the film.
It's amazing. It's unbelievable. So yeah. Not the other person
I totally understand why they did what they did. And like it's like similar to, you know, Anthony Hopkins, who's not in.
That's what it feels like, certainly. Yeah. The whole thing felt like that.
Yeah, it's a very imposing figure, villain. But the difference is that like they never, like, sure, he was never in direct competition with Jodie Foster, but it's not like they try to fraud Jodie Foster into supporting.
Right. The other person I wrote down, Sacha Baron Cohen for Borat. Never would happen, but I think you can make the case.
Sure.
So who would, of the nominees, who do you think should have won?
I would give it to Ryan.
Me too. It's a great performance. I love that movie so much. I would have nominated Anthony Mackie in supporting, maybe. He's so good as well.
I don't know about Mackie, but I have Sharika Epps in my supporting.
And Sharika Epps definitely in mine as well. I love this movie. It's really good. This was my first like exposure to Gosling, I think, maybe.
What?
I mean, what else was he in at before this? When was The Notebook?
Well, he did a lot of. Did you miss him in all like the Mickey Mouse Club?
I did. I was too old for that.
Wow.
So
he was in Murder by Numbers. That's when he and Sandra Bullock started dating.
So Notebook, so Notebook was 2004. So I was exposed to him for Notebook, but then I was like, oh, he's actually a real actor in Half Nelson.
Wow, so rude.
But now he's one of my favorites, including in The Gray Man, Joyce, which I love, and he's great in.
No,
he's the great man for The Gray Man. Best Actress, Helen Mirren wins for The Queen. She holds up the Oscar like this. Penelope Cruz for Voltaire, Judi Dench for Notes and a Scandal, Meryl Streep for Devil Wears Prada, Kate Winslet for Little Children. Like you had said, amazing lineup of best actresses. This is awesome. Love this category.
Yeah, this is an iconic lineup. All of these people have Oscars now.
Yes.
And Kate and Penelope won theirs in the same year.
Yes.
2 years later. So yeah, I don't have issues with this lineup at all.
Did you even come up with extras to even think about?
I wrote down Toni Collette for Little Miss Sunshine because I did enjoy, like, I enjoyed the performances in Little Miss Sunshine. Would I have nominated her? No,
not over these. The other, I also wrote down Ivana Baquero for Pan's Labyrinth, but I don't think she would have gone in. And I have Anne Hathaway for Devil Wears Prada. I love her in the movie.
I do. Yeah, it's a good performance, but it's never going to be the type of performance that would get nominated.
No, but she's great in it and deserved like a little kudos. I think she's awesome in it. I will have nominated a supporting actress from that movie later.
I think everyone would have, so that's not a tease.
So Helen Mirren wins. Any objections to Helen Mirren winning? No. It's the queen. She's the queen.
No, so like she and Forrest swept the whole season.
Yes.
So they were very boring races, but it was just, I think she is so good in the Queen though. Like I don't have any issues with that win. And it's also funny because I remember watching it live, and because they have like cameras on all the nominees, and she's like looking down, and I'm like, oh, does she think she's gonna lose? Like she's like so nervous because she's even
a great actress.
Straight.
She's a great actress. That's why.
Yeah.
She doesn't think she's gonna lose. She knew she was gonna win. She's performing.
But I mean, you never know.
No, please. She knew. Come on. They're not gonna. Who's gonna win?
Like she was winning, but she's just like, you could tell she was nervous.
Briefly here on Kate Winslet and Little Children. Great movie, Little Children. Todd Field back this year with Tar. Kate is awesome in Little Children. It's great. She rolls. Love Kate.
Yeah, Winslet. It's just annoying when because she hadn't won yet at this point, and it's like, oh, she could win for this, but I know she's not winning, so it was just like she's racking up these nominations for great performances,
and then she wins for The Reader,
and like also like Judi Dench. I Nose on a Scandal. It's just like I love the melodrama of it.
Really fun. It's a really good movie.
And just to see like Judy and Cate Blanchett face off like that.
So good. Supporting actor Joyce. This was a fraught one. Obviously, it went down in infamy for a bunch of reasons. But Alan Arkin wins for Little Miss Sunshine. The other nominees are Jackie Earle Haley for Little Children, Djimon Hounsou for Blood Diamond, Eddie Murphy for Dreamgirls, and Mark Wahlberg for The Departed. So obviously, Eddie Murphy was expected to win by everybody, including Eddie Murphy. And then he lost.
Yeah,
and then
well,
left the Oscars.
he like won everything before that, basically.
And then,
except for BAFTA. So he lost BAFTA. Or no, was he?
He lost BAFTA, but it was after the Oscars.
No, it was before the Oscars. It was like
was it?
Yeah,
it looked like it was after on the dates. Let me see.
No, because they had.
Oh yeah, you're right. I had a
no, yeah. So he wasn't nominated there. Because BAFTA nominated him for Shrek.
Yes.
Legendary nomination, but not for this, because they nominated James McAvoy in supporting for his hour and a half performance in The Last King of Scotland.
For his leading performance in The Last King of Scotland.
Yeah, in supporting.
So Eddie famously loses, and the narrative was that he was so mad that he lost, he stormed out and was ungrateful. But I gotta say, when I watched the clip back, he doesn't seem like he's even. He might be surprised certainly, but he is not angry that Arkin won.
No, and that type of gossip is always kind of like people are just trying to like trade in on like his difficult persona.
Right. I'm not surprised he left, because why stay?
Also, a lot of people leave after the category.
Exactly. He had no reason to stay. He had nothing else to win, and so that was it. And he left. But it becomes a big thing, and everybody thinks he's mad. I mean,
and then people also blame Norbit for him.
Norbit was the other one, right?
So
the Norbit effect. Norbit was a terrible movie that came out in February of this year. Big hit, big blockbuster hit. But people said, "Oh, it's going to cost Eddie his Oscar," and then the narrative is that it did. I don't believe for a second that it did. No. I don't think people care.
No one cares.
I think the fact is, when I look at it now, they didn't like Dreamgirls.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
They like Little Miss Sunshine. Alan Arkin has 3 scenes maybe, but he's really funny, and he won. That's why he won. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, they like Little Miss Sunshine more, and again, like we said, the performances, that ensemble carries the film. That's what makes the film great, and that's why you fall in love with it.
Right. So I would I have a long list of people I would nominate instead for a lot of these people. Number 1 being Jack Nicholson for The Departed.
It's wild that Mark was the one acting nomination in here just for dropping F-bombs.
It is.
I mean, very entertaining in the film, but yeah, Jack should have been here.
Jack feels like it's fraught now because the Bill Simmons contingent thinks he's bad in it, and that's just the wrong take. Jack is awesome in the movie.
No, everyone is great in this movie.
Jack is so fun, funny, hilarious performance, totally understands the character, is absolutely out of his mind, and it is an incredibly memorable performance. And the reason I think he's actually should get nominated is because, again, like we were saying, whether or not they're the best performances, Leo and Matt together probably never been in the conversation where they've never been better. And I think a large part of that is that they have Jack keeping them on their toes during their scenes. I think Jack was very much, if not improvisational with his acting, doing unexpected things, like the fake dildo, I think in the nudie scene, right? Or in the movie scene when Matt's there, that I think threw him off guard, and just the way he's slamming the hand down and all this stupid stuff that he does. And it's gets great reactions from Leo and Matt. I think they're legitimately unsure of what to do with this guy. And it's just an amazing performance. I just felt
even from the opening moments of the film, just with his narration, when he's just I don't want to be a product of my environment. Yeah, I want my environment to be a product of me. I was I'm in.
It's the best. He's so good. I actually think he should have gotten nominated, and I think he could have won if he was. I think he's this is
because he didn't win for Abouchment.
Yes.
So he'll win his 4th Oscar after 9 years after the last one.
Well, I have Martin Sheen for Departed. Love him. Great performance.
Sure.
And I have Alec Baldwin for Departed. Again, fraught and canceled. But Alec Baldwin, I'd say, is actually funnier than Mark Wahlberg in the movie. He's so good. And this was a pre-Baldwin, kind of ubiquitous renaissance. I feel like it was oh, man, I like Alec Baldwin.
Well, 30 Rock premiered in 2006.
Right. So it was paying off that fun. So good.
So I have Michael Sheen for The Queen.
I have Michael Sheen too.
Also because his co-stars always get nominated for stuff and he never does.
Yep.
And he was great as Tony Blair. I have Steve Carell in Little Miss Sunshine because I enjoyed that.
Me too.
And then Stanley Tucci for Devil Wears Prada.
I mean, I'm
Love
here
Nigel.
for it. He's great. Love Nigel.
He has a great Oscar clip when he just chastises Anne about how she just deigns to work at Runway.
It's really good. All of these, and I think Alan Arkin winning is great, but I think I would give it to Jack. I have to be honest, I would. I just think he's so good at it. I know
You
that's
can't give it to Jack because he's not nominated here.
No, I'm saying like if I was
so
doing
who would you give it to, of these 5? I would give it to Jackie Earle Haley.
I think I'd give it to Jackie Earle Haley also because it's such a sad performance. It's so good, but I could see why he didn't win because it just is like kind of a little too sad, maybe. I don't know.
It's too like small. It's just like the same way you knew that like Kate wasn't winning,
right,
for it.
But Arkin, like I said, is very funny in the movie. He doesn't really have to do much. He just gets to be an ornery old man, who curses and does drugs. That's like a subversive thing. Supporting actress choice: Jennifer Hudson wins for Dreamgirls. Beautiful speech. I found a lot of the way they talk about her incredibly patronizing in the ceremony. Everybody's like, she's an American Idol loser. And it just made me laugh because I'm like, she's like, I don't know. It just feels like a lot of the A-list stars like looking their nose down on like this former TV reality star who just kind of was undeniably winning.
I always felt like it was more of a dunk on like American Idol, or I guess America itself. For
I guess. I don't know.
But I mean, if they really had an issue with it, then she wouldn't have won. It would just be like, we know they weren't really into Dreamgirls and Eddie Murphy lost. Right. But she had the song.
I don't know who else would have won here. So the other nominees were Adriana Barraza for Babel, Cate Blanchett for Notes on a Scandal, Abigail Breslin for Little Miss Sunshine, and Rinko Kikuchi for Babel.
Yeah, I mean, there was like I would have given it to Kate.
I mean, I think I would have given it to Kate too, but I don't think Jennifer's a bad win at all.
Yeah, it was just like she was this was one of those wins that was preordained as soon as like she was cast.
Right.
It's like she has this. It's just like Anne Hathaway in Les Mis.
Yes, that's what it felt like. The other people I had written down, like you said, Sharika Epps for Half Nelson would have never got nominated, but deserved nominee, I think, especially because like her whole performance is with Gosling, who got nominated, and she's not like blown off the screen. Emily Blunt for Devil Wears Prada,
Golden Globe nominee, Emily Blunt.
Incredible performance. And then
they should have just done it then, so we won't have to talk about when will Emily Blunt ever get nominated. So
yes. And then I put down Julianne Moore for Children of Men because I think she's amazing.
Love her in Children of Men.
So good.
Yeah.
Anybody else? What about, are you a Vera Farmiga fan from The Departed?
Yeah, that's fine.
But I don't think she would have gotten nominated.
No, but she's also that would have been like an easy nomination for them because she's basically the only woman. She has like the 2 pills scene with Leo was good. I have Catherine O'Hara for Your Consideration.
Nice.
Love a spoof about the Oscars.
Yep.
They did not care for it.
No. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Cut too close to the bone. I also wrote down Kate Winslet for The Holiday.
I would have I was thinking about like her and Cameron. I would have done them both in lead.
So Cameron, I think, is absolutely the lead, and I think you could fraud Kate in supporting, but you could do them both in lead. Like we said, this is not the strongest list. How about Beyonce for Dreamgirls?
No.
So Beyonce, isn't it weird watching it back that like she's just sitting in the crowd? Now there's no, Beyonce is basically like an alien. She would never be in the crowd. This whole thing, she's sitting there the whole time.
I mean, to her credit, she stayed at the ceremony
this
past year after her performance in Compton. She came from Compton to sit through the ceremony for her category.
That's true.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, here she's not nominated, but she's there supporting her film, and she hugs J Hud when she wins. So I
gotta say, of the speeches, I thought J Hud's is the best of the 4. I thought she was really emotional,
and like
really great.
What a life,
amazing life, and she remains that amazing.
She's an
EGOT
life. Winner, so
yeah. I mean, one of the most like rewarded actresses, and like now is a talk show host, I think, right? Doesn't he have a show this fall?
She's taking over Ellen's time slot.
Amazing. And it's a good win. Like, I mean, like you said, it's like one of those when it's just like, I have one song, I'm going to kill the song, and I'm going to win an Oscar.
So here's the thing: in the stage production, Jennifer Holliday, she was in lead. They like the roles that J Hud and Beyonce played, like lead nominees at the Tonys. They obviously split them up here to maximize their nomination chances. So it's like because they had Beyonce in lead.
Right. Do you think? Yeah.
I mean, no, like J Hud would not have beaten Helen.
I don't think so either. That's what I was going to ask. I don't think so either. I think Helen was foregone conclusion. So those are acting winners. Let's see. Anything else are down? Screenplay, Joyce. So the screenplay winners for this year. I tell you what, we'll do original and then adapted. Original nominees are Little Miss Sunshine, Michael Arndt, who says he has laryngitis and does his whole speech whispering like this. And it's very strange. And it's still strange to this day. Babel, Letters from Iwo Jima, Pan's Labyrinth, and The Queen. So solid scripts there. I could see, again, I understand why Little Miss Sunshine won based on like how they responded to the movie. I don't think I would pick it though, of that list. I would probably go with The Queen, maybe. Honestly,
I will go with The Queen.
I think that's like a really good movie and like great writing, and Peter Morgan is a great writer. But if I was doing my own picks, Russell Gurwitz for Inside Man would be a nominee and probably win. The movie is amazing. It's a great script. I also thought Nancy Meyers for The Holiday.
I have Nancy for The Holiday too, and I also have For Your Consideration, Christopher Guest and Eugene Levy.
Are you surprised?
Yeah, I would have given this to Peter Morgan.
Right.
So
are you surprised that Guillermo del Toro didn't get nominated for Pan's Labyrinth?
No, because I don't really consider that like a writing achievement.
Right. I guess I just thought because they really liked it, maybe they would.
No, like, so it's like, well, no, he is. Like, you mean like he didn't win?
Right.
Yeah, like I don't consider it like a writing achievement, really. So it's more like the whole like it's more like the final product that's
right.
Like
what I said he wasn't. I knew he was nominated. I mean,
yeah. Like I don't think they were like he wasn't gonna win for this. Like it was obvious like this is like the consolation prize for Little Miss Sunshine, right?
Right. That's what it felt like. Would you say who was the runner-up if you had to pick?
The Queen.
Yeah, me too.
But I would have given it to Queen. Yeah, like I have like issues with the Little Miss Sunshine script.
It just is very TV. It's just a sitcom. That's what it feels like. And even Michael Arndt, whether he's being, I think there's a little, like he credits the cast and the filmmakers more even in his speech. Like, I don't think the movie works without the cast, and it really doesn't.
Like they lifted that movie. So you know what, they should have a casting award at the Oscars, as everyone has called for, and Little Miss Sunshine should have won.
Yeah, absolutely. Would have been great.
Yeah, great casting.
Adapted screenplay, William Monahan wins The Departed, legendary script, the fucking best. And then his speech is like, the Valium really works, which is just awesome. I love this guy so much. The other nominees, Borat, Children of Men, Little Children, and Notes on a Scandal. This is a really good list.
I love this lineup, even if like I don't really care about Borat, but totally fine with that nomination. And I don't know if I would say The Departed is the best screenplay here, but it's still a really great screenplay. Like, but I also love like Little Children, Notes on a Scandal, and Children of Men. Like,
I think in this case, if I had to guess, I mean, obviously The Departed won Best Picture and Best Director and very well liked. But I think if I had to guess, the fact that it's very quotable is why it won. It's like the most quotable of these movies, even if it's not the best screenplay. It's like in a year when they're promoting
Little
movie
Children
quotes,
and Notes on a Scandal are overall like better scripts,
right?
I think.
But in a year of celebrating movie quotes, I think there's few movies in recent years that have had as many quotable lines as The Departed. It is just,
and the also thing is like that film, and also this goes with like editing and Thelma's win. Like it's just very well put together. It's so complex, and it's a long movie, but it feels short.
It feels like it's 20 minutes.
And it's like it's heavily plotted, but you can always easily follow everything. It's like a mix of the direction and the writing and also the editing.
Yes. That's what they say when Marty wins for Best Director. They have the one of the announcers. It's I forgot her name, Gina, right? Let me see if I have it. It's in the let me see. This is great. Gina Tuttle is one of the announcers with Don LaFontaine.
Such important information that
I just want to make sure I got it right. And she goes, Martin Scorsese, as he's walking up, the line is, Martin Scorsese says The Departed is the first movie he's ever made with a plot. Like, why are we nagging Martin Scorsese after he wins his first Oscar? I know he said it himself, but come on.
No, it's just like they're
I
trying
know what
to
he
be
means.
funny, but like it doesn't come off that way.
No. So Departed wins. So we can talk. So Thelma Shoemaker won editing. It's her third Oscar. She wins for Departed. Absolutely awesome win. Love her so much. Joyce, I got to interview her for Wolf of Wall Street, I think, which is a real thrill. She's one of my favorites. She's the best. I was like, it's like truly like a bucket list that I remember talking to her. I asked her about in Goodfellas when the cigar is like, it's like a jump cut. It's like such a bad cut. And like, it's like an iconic bad cut. She was like, oh yeah, it was great. She's awesome. So she wins. And that's the only, outside of, like we said, Departed wins 5 nominees, 4 Oscars. So that's the only below the line nomination it wins and gets. But I was like, how did it not get Michael Bauhaus for cinematography and Howard Shore for score? I feel like those were easy nominations.
Is so good. Like I would have added him to score, and also Little Children to score, and Devil Wears Prada to score.
I had those same ones, and I also said The Prestige for score, because what they ended up with score is like not really that scintillating, I would say.
No, with Babel one, Gustavo Santaolalla.
So it's very much like his Brokeback score. A lot of like
he wins back to
ephemeral guitars.
Yeah.
The other nominees were Thomas Newman for Good German, which is a huge flop. Notes on a Scandal, Philip Glass, Pan's Labyrinth, Javier Navarrete, and Alexander Desplat for The Queen. Again, great list of composers there, but I just think like Howard Shore for The Departed, especially with it being a Best Picture winner, it's like, how is that not on? And that
score is so memorable. Like you hear the opening notes and you know that it's from... Yeah, and then also Thomas Newman should have been nominated for Little Children instead.
Yes, a very strange scores. And then cinematography, like I said, Michael Bauhaus for Departed absolutely should have gotten nominated, I think. And the nominees in that category are Guillermo Navarro for Pan's Labyrinth, Vilmos Zsigmond for Black Dahlia, Emmanuel Lubezki for Children of Men, who should have won, Dick Pope for The Illusionist, and Wally Pfister for Prestige. A great list of cinematographers, again, but I just am like, how does Michael Bauhaus...
Chivo was doing fine.
Was that?
Chivo was doing fine. He got his Oscars later.
He did, but I mean, like, Children of Men is like, I think maybe his best work.
Yeah, I would give it to him for Children of Men, but I'm fine with him losing, knowing like, you know, he'll get his.
I don't mind that he lost. I'm just saying, like, it's his best. I guess if I was doing this, I would have knocked out Vilmos Zsigmond for Black Dahlia, because I don't know.
Yeah, because like Children of Men, like this is when, like, you know, like he started doing like the single takes, the one
and
tracks.
That was a big deal. They have when Julianne Moore dies, that scene is unbelievable.
So, I mean, speaking of like shocking deaths, like that, I thought like that was more shocking than
that was a real big shock too, because she's the biggest star in the movie, or I mean, arguably, and when she gets killed, it's shocking, and especially the way she dies and the way they don't even cut. It's so good. And then the finale, when it's like moving through, they hide the cut so well, and like the bus, I think it is, the camera gets splashed, and they kind of hide it in there. It's really really
like they just it knows how, like, you know, for all the talk of like editing, it lets things play. But I was thinking, like, because we know that The Departed did not, or Warner Brothers did not mount a massive campaign for The Departed, then this is like, maybe this is why it missed out on some of these other categories.
I think that's true,
because they weren't as like in your face about it. They wanted to be organic. They weren't gonna drum it up. And this is a quote from the same Reuters article before. So it says, so just still being considered the world's top film and filmmaker by the Academy, blah, 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 carries a cachet that directors, writers, producers, actors, and many others covet. So people typically work hard to win the award, but Hollywood watchers said the nearly 6,000 Oscar voters, who are all industry professionals, do not like to be told what movies are the best. They want to decide on their own, and the backers for Departed let them do exactly that.
Right.
It's a quote from William Monahan. It was just a decision to let the movie speak for itself. And fortunately, we're in a position where we have a movie that can speak for itself. So, you know, that worked out in the end for like the major awards. So I don't know, maybe had they done like a little bit more campaigning for below the line stuff, I don't know, maybe it would have gotten more.
I mean, I think it could have, especially because you're not talking about like Thelma Shoemaker is like I think, a A-list editor, right? Like everyone knows her. And I think Michael Bauhaus and Howard Shore are in that level too, especially at the time. So I don't think it would have taken much to get them nominated just on name recognition alone. But I think if they made a little bit more of a push, they would have gotten in.
The thing is like, I don't think if The Departed came out now, like this like anti-campaign for the entire movie would not fly. Like Marty could get away with not doing campaigning by himself, but the entire movie as a whole, like they would have a campaign for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is how it was positioned right after the Oscars. David Carr was writing about the Oscars. Legendary David Carr was the carpetbagger for the New York Times at the time, I think. And he says, this is how they positioned The Departed win. The victory of The Departed at the Oscars represented many things: fair tribute to Martin Scorsese, recognition of the movie's brute force at the box office, and an acknowledgement that stars not only make movies, they make the movie. But something else could be read between the spaces of the field-leading 4 statues that this movie won. Old line Hollywood studios, confronted over the last few years by indifferent audiences and an insurgent collection of independent filmmakers, declared dominion over the industry's crowning event. Do you get that sense that that's what it was? That it's like Hollywood striking back?
No,
I don't think so either, especially because Crash was like Hollywood, like big Hollywood, it felt like. I know Crash is like Lionsgate,
but like striking back at what?
Like independent movies.
But
last year, the industry was a bystander at it. I'm continuing here. Bystander at its own party, and was probably left to wonder how an event conceived for studio self-congratulation had been kidnapped by a bunch of people who couldn't get a table at the Ivy if their lives depended on it. But I'm like, it's the Crash. That's the most Hollywood movie.
Also, the year before that was when Lord of the Rings, or no, 3 years before that was
3 years before Lord of the Rings.
Left, and then 2 years before that was $1 Million Baby, Clint Eastwood.
Right. And then Crash, which is like, I know Lionsgate, but a huge Hollywood movie.
And also like Crash and Babel, similar, a lot of interconnected stories.
Yeah. But yeah, that was David Carr. So anyway, and what did you think of the Spielberg, Coppola, and Lucas giving
I mean, we've talked about this before.
Yeah. We talked about it when they tried to do that with the Chadwick Boseman last winning. Anytime you try to manufacture these things, it's such a risk.
I mean, it wasn't the last category.
No, I'm saying, but like they imagine if like Martin Scorsese, if Steven Spielberg, Francis Coppola, and George Lucas are up there and they're all doing their shtick, and it's Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu.
The thing is that he is lucky that there was not a really strong contender like Chad had in Anthony Hopkins, because like look at like the other, like who was second to him. Like who was like a distant second,
right?
Of that, like, were they going to give it to Clint again 2 years later?
I mean, I think Inarritu would be second.
Like Stephen Frears, I don't think he was winning. Like Paul Greengrass, Shaky Cam, I never thought he could win. I mean, like it was like pretty clear that like Marty was going to win, and so, but yeah, it's a risk, but it paid off. So.
And it's a great moment. It does remind me a little of when like Spike won. That whole sequence reminds me when Spike won for screenwriting for Black.
Yeah, and they got Sam
Jackson because he's so psyched, and it's like just a great moment. And Marty doing that as well is really good. And that might be the last time.
Yeah, and he asked them to check the envelope, so
it might be the last time he ever wins one. Killers of Flower Moon 2023. See you at the 24 Oscars, Marty.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't know. Like he's someone who should have more than one.
I mean, we've gone over a lot of his losses.
So it's like I'm fine with him losing for Aviator and Gangs of New York. Like since The Departed.
So I think 1 year I would have pointed to
Wolf of Wall Street,
but he lost to Quran for Gravity, and also probably was runner-up to McQueen for 12 Years a Slave.
And then
that would have been a tough year.
And then Irishman. I mean, he still got a standing O and Bong Joon-ho.
And I think Bong Joon-ho absolutely should have won. So
yeah.
Like when would he have won?
Like since The Departed, I don't. Yeah, like he wasn't gonna win for Hugo. He
No.
won the Globe for Hugo.
I mean, yeah, like let me look. I think like Wolf of Wall Street would have been it, but it's just the wrong year.
Yeah. But then it's like, so the previous year was obviously Life of Pi, and then Argo, but no Ben.
Right.
So like if I don't know. Yeah, and then the following year is Birdman.
I mean, I think he just was the wrong time for Wolf, and then nothing else. Silence and Irishman, and now we're waiting for Flower Moon.
Yeah, like he should have, for him to have two, he should have won one of his earlier ones.
He should have won for Goodfellas, like we had said. Sorry, Kevin Costner, but he should have won for Goodfellas.
Yeah, like I'm fine with most of his losses. Yeah. I don't know. So he could, maybe he will just remain a one-time.
It seems that
director.
way. I mean, I guess Flower, you never know. But the problem now is, like we said, post Departed, he had a little bit of a run where it was like, I don't give an F. He got Shutter Island, which is like pure melodrama, kind of like Cape Fear, like throwback.
And also, as we discussed, it was like they delayed it a little bit,
And it was a big hit.
happened. Yeah.
Then Hugo, sure. Then Wolf of Wall Street, I think, is in Marty and definitely DGAF mode, which is why it's so good. And then he comes back with Irishman and Silence, both two movies he spent decades on thinking about wanting to do. And both felt that way to me. I like Irishman a lot. It's like really good, but it definitely feels like less, there's not as light of a touch as Departed on the material.
And then it was just like he was never gonna win for it.
Right.
Anyway.
And so now Killers of the Flower Moon, we'll see. I'm interested to see a Western from Martin Scorsese. Obviously, I love when these guys are doing the genres, like Spielberg with a musical, Scorsese doing a Western basically sounds like very appealing.
And, he said in his speech, to Leo, hopefully we can work together another 12 or 13 years, 16 years later, they're still working together.
Love it. Yeah, I don't think that's it. I mean, so that's it. That's the Departed choice. Anything else here? This is the end of these, like we said, until 2023.
That's also because Oscar season is starting, like
Yes.
for real.
We'll talk about
Even though Oscar season never ends.
No.
But
it never ends in my heart. Maybe next year we'll go back and do the 80s. It's not as much fun because we can't talk about seeing the movies in the theaters, but there's a lot more material, and it's not as
I think it would still be more fun because it is so dated.
Yeah.
And then like I've seen like several speeches, and obviously I've seen this Snow White debacle. So
the other thing is, I was thinking, like, I think at least I feel like this, a lot of the movies from the 80s, certainly the Oscar movies, are like not aged well, but then the years are incredible. Like I've seen a lot of people like doing movies of 1987, obviously, because it's like 35 years. What is it, 35 years? Tell me with math again.
87's 35.
35 years, not 25 years. And a lot of those movies from 87 are awesome. It's like RoboCop, Predator, Moonstruck obviously was like an Oscar movie, but like on and on. There's like a ton of movies that are really good.
We can discuss Glenn Close's losses in the 80s.
Yeah, maybe we do that. That'll be fun. So so stick around to 2023. Just stay right here. We'll be back in like 6 months and talk about that. But this is a lot of fun, Joyce. Talk to you later.
We're departing.
We're departing. What is it? Act accordingly. All right. Goodbye.